very much for joining me today. We're going to be talking today about achieving more with Anajet printers. And I'm going to start with the agenda here. My name is Joe Longton, and I'm the Marketing Director for Anajet. To tell you a little bit about myself, I have been doing marketing for approximately 15 years, 13 of it in a B2B capacity. I have a master's degree in business, and I'm actually also the proud owner of an Anajet printer recently purchased for myself. So I'm sort of in the trenches with you there, learning it, how to use it, and learning how to build business as I go. So what we'll cover today is a high-level view of the direct garment industry and the market, the business advantages and some of the challenges that are common to many different types of industries, many different types of customers whom we serve. I'm not going to cover just the mPower, but I'm also going to introduce you to the Sprint. Now, if you came onto this call expecting to hear an in-depth training on how to use the mPower to make more money, I sorry to disappoint you. This is more of an introductory level call to explain what it is, what the process is, and what the value proposition, and how to calculate your return on investment. So very important aspect of this presentation will be the economics. I will relate some very successful customers that we have had very recently. And during the entire call, if you have a question that comes up, don't hesitate to put it into the chat window. It should be visible on your console. I think it's on the right side. So with that, I will move forward here. Making sure that we can actually see this. There we go. Apologies for that. Moving forward. So why look at direct-to-garment as a potential investment for your business? We've been saying this for years, that digital apparel printing is the future. It is the latest in technology, the latest way to decorate garments and promotional materials. And it is one way for any businesses of all types to differentiate themselves, to diversify their offerings. As we've experienced in the last few years, as you have experienced personally, if you don't diversify your product offerings, it can seriously harm your competitive capabilities. There's also continuous pricing pressure for all different types of products and service offerings that you may have. That's coming from your customers. They're expecting you to do a lot more with a lot less. There's more competition now through the internet, because of social media, and you may have experienced yourself actual direct competitive threat coming from online vendors. For all types of garment decoration, screen printing, promotional products, engraving, personalization, recognition, that there's pressure to differentiate your services or to go out of business. So I actually would like to ask a question from you folks. I'd like to know what type of company or organization do you have? And so this question should pop up just a second here. Let me know if you can't see it. Raise your hand if you can't see it. I'm going to let that percolate for just a little bit longer. So right now I'm seeing 100% of folks garment decorators. So that's going to actually really speed up this presentation. Okay, looks like everybody's voted, and I have 100% of you are registering as garment decoration. So I'm going to close that up and move forward. There we go. So why should you look at digital t-shirt printing? As everybody on the call is aware, that garment decoration in the United States alone is a huge industry. That garment printing is a majority chunk of that. And the data that we have coming from SGIA and from other sources that as of 2007, 5 years ago, the garment printing industry was 99% screen printing and 1% digital direct printing. We believe that that ratio has changed a little bit in the last 5 years with the expansion of digital apparel printers. Who is the leader in this industry? From reports, third-party analysts that we have talked to, we're being told that we have a very large chunk of the worldwide market share and a majority share in North America. So there are many other players out there that have similar solutions. There's some that cost less, and there are some that cost more. As far as the imaging industry challenges, these are common challenges throughout all types of imaging industries. And I'm going to try to color this from the perspective of garment decoration. You know that your production equipment is costly. To have multiple embroidery heads, to have multiple screen presses, it can be a large investment. And anytime you're adding new technology, you know that you're going to endure a period of learning. There's a set of applications and a set of steps, cleaning, setup, that you typically need to learn when you're investing in new garment decoration technology. Smaller jobs typically result in small or zero margins. It's not attractive to do a short run for a screen printer simply because there's screen fees, setup fees, cleaning. And for other garment decorators, it can be the same story. There are some technologies that short runs are very feasible, but it's not highly profitable. You also have a continuous need to go out and get new customers. If you're not marketing every day, your business probably isn't growing as fast as it could. And one of the things that's going to contribute to that is once you get the clients, to give them white glove service and to give them really take good care of those customers. And when it comes to outsourcing, that can be a bother. That can be a real chore because, yes, you want to be a one-stop shop, but it also cuts into your margins, and it can add to delays. So the solution that we've put forth is to look at investing in a durable, high-volume digital apparel printer. And you can see in this picture, we have a photo of the inside of a person's trailer. They're actually a mobile shop. And on the left side, you can see that they have an Anajet printer. And over on the right, you see there's a rolling VersaCam. That is actually a really almost ubiquitous piece of equipment for folks in the sign industry. They use that to do vinyl printing and cutting and lettering. And this particular customer's opted to do both from a mobile trailer. It's pretty easy to learn how to use a digital apparel printer. As I said, I've been doing marketing for 15 years, and it took me all of one day to really get a handle on how to use my particular printer. It's the precursor to this print. When it comes to profit margins, on a per-piece basis, you can see up to 75% gross margins on shirts and other types of promotional products. But garment printing isn't the end-all solution to this. It can also help you build other types of business, other lines of business that you have by simply putting people's image onto a shirt and sampling it to them. This is one of the things that I actually recommend very strongly. We have recently put together a top 10 list of things that you need to do in order to be successful, and sample is one of those things. The other nice aspect about direct-to-garment printers is that you have a near zero turnaround, and you have a high degree of customization, personalization as possible. What does that mean? It means that if a person comes into your shop or sends you an email with an image, you could literally take that, drop it into a rip, print the shirt, and have it be pressed and ready to wear within about 5 minutes. There's not another type of technology that I'm aware of that allows you to do this in quantity as well. It also enables you to do a high level of personalization, and the result is you have a wonderful feel to the shirt as well. The graphic actually becomes part of the fabric. It's not a sticky, gummy feeling ink that's just sitting on top of the fabric. It's integrated into it, and that leads to longer durability and washability. So it just has a really nice hand to it as well. Another real strong benefit for direct-to-garment printers is that you can actually eliminate those those middlemen, you can eliminate or reduce the amount of outsourcing that you're doing, which, of course, is going to grow your profit margin. So when it comes to screen printing, I'll let this paint in here. I want you folks to be able to see it here. There are a lot of parallels between direct-to-garment printing and screen printing. There's a lot of pressure from your market, your customers. There is an increasing trend towards mass personalization in our market of one. Every day. They actually expect a very high level of personalization and customization. They believe that they need to be served uniquely and that they need to be able to order just one piece or just 5 pieces or just 10 pieces and get it practically the next day. This isn't always feasible for screen printing. There's also a high emphasis on speed. When you're using a screen press, you can typically print upwards of 1,000 pieces in a day without too much trouble. However, they lack full color graphics. You lack the ability to personalize those prints, and you also wind up with a different feel to the garment. But another parallel between screen printing and direct-to-garment is that there is a fast learning curve. If you happen to be a screen printer, you're going to understand ink, you understand garments, you probably also understand graphic design software pretty well. But the key difference is that with screen printers, if the customer comes to them with a request for 1, 5, 10, 20 pieces, they may have to say no because the customer is going to balk at the screen fees. The customer is going to balk at setup fees. They're going to say, well, you advertised the shirts at $5.35 each. Why can't I just get 5? And you have to explain to them, I'm sorry, but that is for a minimum of 75 pieces or 100 pieces. When it comes to direct-to-garment, you can stop saying no to those short-run orders and be profitable from the first garment that you print. Another thing that's a key difference I already mentioned is that we're talking about full-color digital prints. So some folks compare and contrast screen printing with direct-to-garment and say, well, the ink costs more. That's true. Per garment, the ink does cost more for direct-to-garment printing. However, it's going to be the same cost per garment, regardless of whether you do 1 or 1,000. When it comes to screen printing, when your average cost per garment is going to be sky high if you're only going to be doing 1 or 5 pieces because of those screen fees. Now, if you want to be doing 8 colors, now you're really talking some big bucks. And customers typically are going to say, no thanks, I guess I just don't have any alternative. I guess there is nothing for me to do. One other nice benefit is that you can actually use direct-to-garment to help build your screen printing business. And I'm not kidding, this is what screen printing customers tell us all the time. Because you're able to not only able to sample, but you're able to comp somebody with one print. Now, how likely is it that somebody comes into your shop and walks out with a comp print with a single shirt that they're going to go and run over to somebody else's shop and say, hey, can you do this for me? That screen printer is going to say, no way, sorry, thanks, good luck with this other company. So you're sampling folks. You can build your screen printing business by handing them a comp on the spot while they wait. So it's a huge advantage. Now with embroidery, the market expectations are very similar. They want speed, they want personalization, and they want it at the lowest possible cost. The other strong parallel is that if you're working with customer graphics, you're digitizing things and you're turning them into embroidery patterns. So you understand working with graphic software, you understand what a rip is. And when you're converting a graphic into something that can actually be printed or sewn. Key differences, huge. There's a much higher profit potential per hour with a single direct-to-garment printer than for a single embroidery head. Why? Well, A, you can print a sample on demand, and B, you can actually just have one operator running it versus 2 or 3, and C, the setup time is 0. You're plugging in a graphic, drop it into the rip, and print it. There's no assigning threads. There's no cutting or trimming, and you know your gross profit for doing a single, for example, a pocket drop. One of my customers actually has converted entirely from an embroidery and direct-to-garment shop to being purely direct-to-garment because he's seeing something to the order of $10 per piece in about 2 minutes, as opposed to $5 or $7 per embroidered image in about 10 minutes. So he's moving a lot faster with the direct-to-garment printer, and that's why he converted over entirely. I'm not suggesting that you do that, saying that that's a possibility, and some folks have actually seen that as a strong option. So I'm going to skip right through promotional products. The only thing I'm going to say there is that a lot of promotional products distributors would prefer to always be working with contractors and always be outsourcing their work. But we've seen so many promotional products businesses spring up and thrive because they decided to purchase the means for technology. They decided to cut out the middleman. They decided to skip working with the manufacturer and actually do the personalization themselves. And the margins for them have been huge. We have a couple of promotional products distributors on our customer advisory board, and I have a case study coming up really soon that's going to be focusing on one that's in rural North Carolina who have been enormously successful and actually purchased a second Anajet printer not too long ago. So what do you get? What's the result when you're using a direct-to-garment printer? Well, you get really strong, long-lasting, vibrant prints that have very good resistance to sunlight. They have a wonderful soft hand, and it's something that you wouldn't feel bad about putting on your infant, your kid, or giving as a gift to somebody. The secret here is to treat it as you would any nice garment that you buy. You would wash it in cold, and it lasts a very, very long time. In fact, we've always said that the print itself, when properly laid down and cured, should outlast the garment or last the life of the garment. So why am I putting this image up here? This is actually a full-color image that one of our customers did on the mPower. That print itself takes about a minute and a quarter, and he had an order of 250 pieces of this at $13 each. His gross profit that day in about 5 hours of labor, 5 hours of printing time plus labor included, his gross profit was $2,790 on one job in 5 hours. I'll detail that a little bit later. So let me introduce you to the two solutions that we have. The first one is the mPower Digital Apparel Printer. To date, it is three months to 6 months. Of course, that's going to depend very greatly depending on your market and your pricing model. We offer first-class technical support and training. What does that mean? It's that we have live technical support for all printer owners for the life of the printer. So if you bought one secondhand, guess what? You call in, you register as an owner, you're entitled to live technical support. Training. We have hands-on training available at our headquarters in Costa Mesa, California. And that's open to anybody that owns one of these printers, any of your operators. We also enable things well beyond garments, well beyond tote bags, such as different extended media, including wood, glass, and we also have capabilities for printing foil onto garments. And we have some techniques that we can teach you when it comes to printing in 3D. We have a kit for art prints. And there are many more things that we're developing, such as a hat platen. And we're always trying to come up with new ideas and new types of products that we can support. The printers are engineered, designed, assembled, sold, and supported from our headquarters in Costa Mesa, California. Now, this is a pretty unique proposition. And a lot of folks want to really prefer having the capability to pick up the phone, call somebody live who speaks articulate English, or articulate Spanish and can communicate with them very clearly over a strong signal line, and then be able to call them back in an hour if they have to. This is such a vital capability, especially if you're just stepping into direct-to-garment technology, and even especially if you're stepping into garment decoration business for the first time. Having that hand there, having that person looking over your shoulder to see what you're doing is invaluable. Move forward here. Particular advantages with the mPowers. Number one is a recirculating ink delivery system. The recirculating ink is really important because it actually helps to agitate the inks in the lines. Now, if you're not familiar with direct-to-garment printers, they're very similar to other inkjet printers. There are lines that convey the different inks, white inks and CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, black, from the cartridges, in this case 220 milliliter cartridges, to the print head, which is a stainless steel industrial strength print head. And that's a special thing about the mPower, is that the print head itself has an extreme longevity when it's properly cared for. So what's the upshot of that? Well, you have lower maintenance and easier maintenance. Now, that's not saying it's no maintenance. You do have to take care of this printer. The parallel that I draw is when you're comparing a paper printer, which you simply plug in cartridges, drop in some paper, and forget about it, to the mPower. A similar analogy would be a regular car that you go to a dealership, buy, put gas in, change the oil, change the tires and brakes, and drive, forget about it, versus an Indy car, which is a significant investment, and it requires care and attention. In fact, it might even have a whole crew of folks who are making sure that it's running optimally at all times, and it can make you money. So that's the key difference, is that our printers are enabling people to make money, and paper printers enable you to print out copies and print out Word documents. It's not necessarily going to make you a profit. So finally, you get full ink saturation in a single print pass. What does that mean? It means that you're not sitting there for 10 minutes to get a decent print out of the printer. You're not running it several times. You run it one pass, and you get a great result from it. Some additional features of it is the anti-rip software. This is the king of rip software for all direct-to-garment printers. Nobody can even touch this. Why? Well, we designed it ourselves. This is proprietary software that is conceived over the last 5 or 6 years, finally culminating in the release of the mPower. We developed this RIP software specifically for the mPower, and it has some incredible features on this. One of the things that we're actually applying for a patent is the TrueView capability that allows you to see on this little image, you can see the original graphic, the source graphic, and on the right side, we actually have taken the substrate, the fabric itself, into account. Accounted for the fact that it has going to have white ink with a color CMYK layer over the top of it, and that's going to be a much closer facsimile to the final result. Then we enable you to actually use color slider adjustments to bring up different colors or bring up the white. There are several other new features, and in fact, we always offer our customers lifetime access, lifetime free updates when we're updating the original RIP software or updating the firmware of the printer. That's important because we're not charging you when we come out with a new $1,000 enhancement to this RIP software. This is something that some customers pay upwards of 3 figures, 4 figures for their RIP software. Now, another critical enhancement that we're actually going to be announcing very shortly, tomorrow we're going to be issuing a release of some exciting enhancements at our first day at SGIA. So the folks who are using ANRIP right now, they are actually going to be enjoying some critical enhancements to the software that's going to tune up. I can tell you a couple of things. It's going to make the colors incredibly, what's the word? the fidelity is going to be vastly improved, even above what it is today to the source graphic. Another feature about the mPower itself is on the printer you can see an LCD preview screen, and this allows you to scroll through the jobs that you've printed, and you can even plug in a USB or an SD card right into the console and then scan through that to find ripped jobs, and then you don't have to even touch your computer. You don't have to touch your RIP software. You're working with a ripped image already. So that really speeds things up. Speaking of speed, we had a third-party analyst come and do a test back in January from SGIA. Some of you folks may be familiar with SGIA. It's one of those very important trade organizations that I strongly recommend that you be a member of if you're just starting in this industry. We were tested at 13 seconds for a white shirt at production speed. That was an acceptable print. We felt that it was a saleable print, and we actually added a few seconds onto that. Now, some things have changed over time, so again, these all depend on the size of the graphic. It depends on the settings that you're choosing. What it lays down is the capability. A reasonable output, you can conceivably do 500 to 1,000 shirts a day on the MP10. We actually have a speed test that we did recently using the MP10, using the speed setting. Somebody had asked me, can you really prove that you can do 100 shirts in an hour? And I said, well, based on the times that we have, we believe it's possible. And he said, well, can you prove it? Can you take a video? And so I said, okay. We took a video, and I said, we'll do 25 shirts, and we'll time the 25 shirts from the time that we rip the image to the time that we finish heat pressing the 25th shirt. We came in at about 17 minutes and 50 seconds. So that was 2 operators who did not break a sweat, and you can actually visit our blog and see the video. I think we posted it up to YouTube as well, and see that the capability really is there, and you can get really good quality prints. I actually posted photos of those prints onto the blog as well. Now, is everybody going to be doing this? No, no, no. Are you going to be doing this? It's possible. You might have a time where you might have a very busy period. Something seasonal comes up, or you have a large order from a school or some nonprofit organization like a YMCA needs something from you, and they need 500 pieces or they need 1,000 pieces. And you can commit to delivering on these things, these types of orders, not in a week, but in a matter of a day or 2 days or 3 days. So that's one of the advantages of having this capability is it's full color digital prints in a very short time to process these orders. So if you can look, imagine if you were just on the bottom end of this with the MP5, and you could produce 50,000 garments in 1 year, working a 10-hour day, 5 days a week. So keep that number in mind. Now, the other printer I wanted to introduce you to is the Sprint. A lot of you folks may be familiar with this, so I will not spend a lot of time on it. The Sprint happens to be the top-selling direct garment printer in the United States, and we have thousands of customers. It was first released in June 2009, but we are now on the 2nd generation of Sprints. It has proven to be extremely reliable with routine maintenance. We've had one customer who took the print head up to 33,000 impressions. So when it's properly cared for, those print heads are really awesome. I'm using one right now. It is light and portable. Many customers actually will load this up with a heat press, some inks and some shirts, and run out to car shows, festivals, 5K, 10K runs, charity events, and they will print shirts on demand, on the spot, using people's photos or other images that they want, and make extremely high margin. And that's a cash business, folks. And the ROI on this, we've been told by customers that their ROI experience was a matter of weeks to up to 5 months. And I'll share one case study with you in a little bit of a person who had a dramatic return on investment and continues to enjoy that return on investment. So here, the Sprint is a little bit slower than the mPower. It's a less expensive and lower investment, but you get extremely good quality output from it. Now, the speeds that we're talking about here are not 50,000 shirts in a year, but on the low end, if you're running, let's say, light and white shirts constantly, your output range should be between 20,000 and 60,000 garments in a year. Now, I'm not making that up. We actually do have a customer that I've actually done a case study interview with, who was producing to the effect of 20 to 30,000 garments in a year routinely. So what's the business case? Let's get into the economics. The fully loaded cost of a printed white shirt, what does that mean? That's the labor, that's the cost of the shirt, cost of the inks, and the time that you invest in printing and curing. $250 to $3, $350. It really depends on the blank types, meaning the shirt or garment or tote bag or whatever you're printing on, and the size of the graphic. So it could range wildly. Fortunately, I've got an ink cost study that's been posted to our website under the Learn section, and you can access this anytime. And it shows a wide variation of graphic sizes printing onto a black shirt. So why black shirt? Well, black shirt, we wanted to focus on dark shirts because we wanted it to be conservative and be the highest cost estimate because it requires a white layer and a color layer. So it requires 2 passes of ink. White shirts, the ink costs way, way less when you're talking about no white required. So for light garments, in retail price, between $13 to $18 for light shirts. My pricing sheet, I start at $20 for a light shirt. And then as the order quantities go up, I phase them into lower price tiers. So let's say conservatively a gross profit of $12 a shirt. For example, that shirt that I showed you previously that our customer had printed 250 pieces, he's pricing it at $13 because it was a quantity 250. But at a smaller quantity, he would have priced it higher. Let's say conservatively, if you're gross profiting at $12 per shirt, your payoff period should be about 1,500 prints per sprint, about 2,200 prints for an MP5, and about 3,200 for an MP10. That's sold shirts, not impressions, but actual sold shirts at a retail value. You may be a screen printer or other mass producer who wants to produce higher volumes and much lower profit margin. So that is your call. But remember what he said, the production capacity, if you're ranging between 20,000 and 200,000 shirts per year, and your payoff for an MP10 is 3,200, you can do the math. If you're producing at a reasonable volume, you should be able to pay off an MP10 in approximately 3 months. And we have had many customers do exactly that. There's some key success factors here, and I'm going to relate that at the very end of the presentation. But these 3 among them are that you're delivering really high quality output, you're delivering in volume, and you're using the most efficient production means that you can. So you may actually want to take a look at your shop setup and say, do I want the heat press to be all the way across the shop from this printer, or do I want it to be within a really reasonable distance where I can turn around and press a shirt as I go? Anyway, so that's a business case. And that's to help you calculate ROI. Your results may vary. That's my caveat. Moving forward here. Sneak peek, just a short, brief look at some of the other capabilities that we have beyond garments. This isn't going to be very interesting for a person who's making signs, but if you look down on the lower left, you can see that we have the capability to do high-quality digital reproduction on canvas. This is where it pays to have really nice high resolution. And the results that you get are fantastic. On the right side, we're actually printing onto a glass pane. That's done with a solution that we've come up with that requires a pre-treatment, the ink, and then a finishing treatment. In the middle there, you can see the little skull with the Anajet logo. That is metal foil. And at the bottom is simply a technique. It's not something that we sell. It's simply a technique that we've learned, we discovered, that enables graphics to kind of pop off the shirt in a 3D type of fashion. It's not 3D printing. We're not doing prototype stuff, models or anything like that. It's just the look of 3D. So who are some of the markets that you can be selling to? Well, this probably looks like customers that you've already been dealing with. In fact, if you were in the imaging industry, you'd see that the corporate customers, nonprofits, athletic teams, and schools really are your top customers. And I think that that's true for me. That's true for most of my customers. So these are growing markets. These are not just stagnant and flat. These are ones that are growing more and more. They need printed garments, custom garments. So who are some of our customers? This is a screen printer, IHS Printing. Jason Bryan owned some screen presses, and he partnered with another gentleman who had some screen presses. He bought his Anajets as opposed to going with screen. It might appear at first glance to be more economical to go with the screen presses, but he doesn't like the hassle of having to do screens and set up and clean up. So he'll actually try to get as many jobs as possible onto these Anajet printers. Landau Princeton is a clothing retailer, and they are on Nassau Street, right across from Princeton University. They are not the college bookstore. Henry and Jake, father and son, are the proprietors of this store, and they bought the printer with no experience in garment decoration, period. It was the first piece of equipment that they ever bought for the shop that had anything to do with garment decoration. They paid off the sprint in about 5 months, turned it into $250,000 in gross receipts within 17 months. And at this time, he's well over 350, and I'm thinking he's probably closer to 400,000 for approximately a $20,000 investment, and that's in 2 years. So when he says he actually brought me into the shop, and I went to visit him in New Jersey, and he started to print a shirt, and he literally had $20 bills. He says he felt so strongly about it. It prints money. So I said, what would it take to replace it? And he said, you couldn't pay me to replace this machine. And I have his testimonial is also on our blog, so check it out. Creative Promotions, or the DigiGuy. This was the customer who was formerly an embroidery shop. Made really good money for many, many years doing embroidery. Chuck has since moved on, and he is phasing out his embroidery equipment. He's still taking those orders, but he's phasing out his embroidery equipment and is converting entirely to direct-to-garment using the mPower. And he also owns another generation of Anajet printers as well. He's been very successful with this, well over 6 figures for the last couple, 3 years. And there's the calculation you can see right there, $2,790 in profit, $1.45 cost per shirt. Eastern Shore Signs is, this isn't somebody you guys probably care about too much. He's a sign maker, but the key thing here is that he's in rural Virginia, in a town of 1,200, and he's earning well over 6 figures with his combined sign and direct-to-garment printing business. So if you've already got a going concern and you've already got an established market, you need to invest in a direct-to-garment printer. It's going to add 33%, 50% revenues to your business, and it can do it, as he said, practically overnight. In a real-time scale, it took him about 3 months, and he paid off his MP5, by the way. He took the cash that he'd made, and he took some of it, and he actually traded his MP5 in for an MP10. So now he's using faster, better printer. What's one other special thing that we try to do to sweeten the pot here? We have an alliance with a company called Inksoft. Inksoft is the best online garment design and ordering system on the planet. They have a special offering called Inksoft Flex. So this is for order management and t-shirt design. You can actually design custom websites very quickly. It takes you about a day to create a customized website uploaded with your customers' graphics onto the SKUs or the product types that your customers like to order. You allow them to actually configure those garments, those printed garments, to their liking, and then place an order with you. This is a $999 value. It's free to our new customers, free to people who buy any new Anojet printer, Sprint or mPower. You can learn more about it if you go to the Business in a Box page. So this is the last slide that I wanted to share with you folks. What are the key success factors when it comes to using direct-to-garment? Number one is training. Learning how to use, to optimize, and to use various settings on the printers to train yourself and to train other people how to use it as well. To learn graphic design software. This is very, very crucial. If you don't understand Photoshop or Corel, you're actually going to probably miss some opportunities because you're not able to tune a graphic specifically just a little bit, or to clean it up, sharpen it up, or improve it so that it prints better. Marketing your business is another key success factor. My product manager, Paul, likes to say there's no phone jack. The printer doesn't call customers for you. You have to go out, and sometimes you have to hit the street and sample and drop off samples and hand out your business card in order to grow the garment decoration product line. You have to commit to a ramp-up period. This entails all of the above: training, learning, and marketing, and also just basically getting familiar with your printer, learning how to use it, learning the ins and outs, and getting to know its personality. Some folks say every printer is different. It actually is. When you consider the fact that you're going to be in a different climate than we are, you might have different methods that you're using to market. You might have different types of graphics that you're trying to produce. You may be a graphic designer yourself, and you want to be selling your own art. Well, that can be a tough road to hoe, but this is the way to do it. You also want to be committed to ongoing learning. Now, we're offering technical webinars frequently, at least one a month, if not more. We have trade shows where we show up, but then there are also seminars at these trade shows that are just invaluable for folks who are trying to build a garment decoration business. And there are memberships out there. We're actually members of many of these different organizations. We attend all of these trade shows: SGIA, ASI trade shows, PPAI in Las Vegas, ISA in Las Vegas, NAP, which is an embroidery, NACS, National Association of College Stores, and there are so many other organizations out there who exist to provide you with a network, to provide you with tools, to help you outsource, to help you learn, and enhance your skills. So we really think you need to commit to these things. And when we've seen customers who've done all of these things, they've been ridiculously successful. So at this point, I'm just going to turn it over here. And if you have not popped a question up into the chat window, please do it now. And I'm going to take a minute here and scroll through these questions here real quickly. Okay, now this is from an actual customer saying, we are already printing hats and high tops, low top chucks, those are the Converse, and Vans at his company with platens that he developed himself. I think I've actually spoken with you. Doing about 100 hats a week and 10 to 15 pairs of shoes a week. So again, this is one of those additional applications that if you have the patience and you have the time, you can develop custom platens, you can develop jigs, whatever you like, because the cool thing about the mPower is that it has an adjustable table height of up to 3 inches. So that means you can basically take cardboard or paper or whatever you want to and form a jig yourself to make it print exactly where you want it to go. Let's see. Now, another question was, does this include the pre-treatment for the black shirts? Okay, let me go back to that slide real quickly. When I was talking about calculating the ROI, it's going to take me just a moment to scroll back up to that, okay? Right here, business case. Fair question. Now, when you're pre-treating a black shirt, you're basically going to take your labor cost. This is how I calculated it, folks. I'm going to double my labor cost because it's going to take me time to take the shirt out of the box, shoot the shirt with a Wagner power sprayer or with a Viper pre-treatment machine. Then I'm going to squeegee it, hang it to dry, and then I'm going to go collect it later. That actually takes a little bit of time itself. I'd say that at about a minute, minute and a half per shirt that you need to add on for labor cost. Plus the pre-treatment cost is several cents per garment. So when you're printing with a dark garment, there's a multiple step process. It's not complicated. It's simply something that you want to be aware of, that you do it in batch usually. So you'll take a case of shirts, 72 pieces. You'll take your Wagner power sprayer. You'll fire the power pre-treatment onto the shirt, squeegee it to get the fibers to lay down, and then allow the shirt to dry, whether on a conveyor dryer, an oven dryer, or line dry. We use line dry here, and it works great. We get awesome shirts. If you've been to a show, you've probably seen the quality of shirts that turns out. Let's see, some other questions. I'm getting, so this prints on, yes, this prints, you can print, now I didn't cover this in detail, but yes, you can print on dark shirts and light shirts. The process is that you have white ink channels, and it requires that you use white ink as an underbase. Why is this so? When you're using digital inks, we're using water-based inks, it's necessary to have a pre-treatment applied to the dark garments. In fact, we even have some customers who apply a pre-treatment to white shirts and light-colored garments because they feel that it delivers better results to them. The reason you want to do it for dark garments is because if you put white ink right on a black shirt or a dark-colored shirt, it'll settle into the fabric. And you don't have those white fibers inside that are reflecting that light and allowing light to penetrate and illuminate the CMYK color. Pre-treatment, they're still going to be relatively invisible because that light's going to be absorbed, not reflecting. Again, that's why you need to have the titanium dioxide white ink as an underbase. So that's just as if you took, for example, if you took a dark piece of construction paper and tried to put dark colors or a range of colors onto that, you wouldn't really be able to see it. But if taking a white piece of construction paper, you can see everything that you're putting onto it. And that's what the white underbase enables, so that those colors that you lay on top of that pop. So that's a two-pass process. It adds a little bit of time to the printing. So instead of one pass in about 60 seconds, you're going to be doing two passes. It might take you a minute and a half. It might take you 2 minutes to do two passes. But the beautiful thing about this is that you can upcharge for dark shirts. We have one full shop to a fair and had a person come up with a particular select and text, and he said, I want one shirt, I want it to have this and this and this, and my statement, my phrase on it. And our customer said, okay, sure, no problem. The guy says, how much is that going to be? And she said, $55. He says, can I pay you now? So done properly and priced properly, you can be quite successful with this as long as you're pricing for profit. Oh, one other thing I wanted to tell you guys before we ended this call. Let me scroll on down here. Scroll up one. First of all, if you hit our blog, anajet.com/blog, you're going to see some success stories. If you look for tips and tricks, you'll see two things. You're going to see an ink cost study that was developed that tells you about what it costs for a different type of graphic on a dark shirt. This document is rich with information and with numbers to try to help you make a really well-informed business decision. Another thing you'll find government printers and vendors. So these aren't questions. This isn't just to sell the Anajet mPower or the Sprint. These are real questions that you need to be able to feel like you can ask any direct-to-garment printer and see how they stack up. And I recommend that highly to anybody who's looking at it, making an investment in this. There's also a recent article by Paul Green published in Printwear in the D2 supplement. What is that? If you're not familiar, Printwear is one of the industry standard magazines, and they are part of NBM, the NBM trade show as well, the NBM organization. And they put on 4 or 5 trade shows around the country every year. So Paul wrote up an article for these guys. They published it. It's about where to start with direct-to-garment printing. That has some useful tips in there as well. The last thing I want to mention to you folks is that we have another webinar in store for you. And as I said, this is an educational one. It's going to be on profitable pricing. That's coming up next Wednesday on the 24th at the same time, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to get into real details there on how to actually price for profit and how to calculate your payoff in return on investment based on the type of business that you're running and based on the type of customers that you have. I can't recommend that highly enough. You really want to show up for that because I'll be able to get way deep into the weeds to help you determine what type of customer you are, or what type of business you want to establish. Also, tomorrow through Saturday, we're going to be at a booth. Stop by our booth at SGA in Las Vegas. It is at the Las Vegas Convention Center near the Las Vegas Hotel. And we're going to be there for all 3 days running the Sprint, the MP5, and the MP10, all 3 models that I showed you here today. The last event I want to share with you is that we have an open house coming up here in Costa Mesa. So if you happen to be in Southern California, I invite you heartily to come to see us Thursday, November 8th, starting at 1 p.m., running till 5. We're doing another open house December 6th, Thursday, December 6th, from 1 p.m. to 5 here in Costa Mesa. And we will demonstrate the Sprint, the MP5, MP10 too, as well as a few other things. I got one question here, and then I'm going to sign off and let you folks get back to your day. Can you define the term retail? Who's the retail customer? Okay, we're back to the slide about calculating what is the payoff time for a particular printer. Retail is if you are selling direct to an end user customer, not to a person who's going to wholesale them or not to a corporation. A corporation, it calls for a different type of pricing model. A retail customer for their family or something like that, or it might be what I've heard from numerous customers that they'll have somebody come in who wants to do 20 shirts for a family reunion. That is your retail customer, and that's it. Again, depends on the type of business model that you want to create. Now, what am I doing personally? I have retail customers. I have nonprofit organizations with a different pricing model. I have civic organizations, schools. I have sons have friends at school. I consider them retail customers, and I give them retail pricing, who they want to have an image of Tobuscus printed on shirt, front and back. So I charge them retail price. Why? Because it's a one-off. Or maybe my son only sells 4 pieces. I'm charging at my highest rate there. And another example of a retail customer would be if you're going to a fair, or you're going to a festival, or you're going to a car show. You've taken pictures of people or their cars or the other things that that they're displaying. You're selling those pieces no less than $20 each. Sometimes $25, sometimes $30. And I'm not kidding. These prices are coming to me, and I was actually shocked to hear that one of our customers who's very mobile goes from county fair to county fair to county fair, and they go to types of exhibits and festivals, and they're selling out of their trailer on demand black shirts at $25 a pop, $35 a pop. That's retail. That's where the gold, if you do it right, that's where the gold is. Now, not everybody on this call, not every one of our customers has that capability or that interest to be hitting the road and being out in the field mobile every Saturday and every Sunday. Some of them really like to just do Monday through Friday. Well, if you have a storefront, that's where you can decide. If your market is corporations, then you create a pricing model that makes sense. You create a pricing model that's based on runs a painting business, and he actually wants me to print at 4 sites on a shirt. I upcharge for every single site on that shirt $2 to $3 per site. So when all is said and done, the additional cost to multiple sites. Screen printers can do the same thing. But in my case, I'm giving him a personalized garment with full color graphics. I'm giving him exactly what he wants on each individual shirt. That you're bringing to the table. They understand that this is something special. This is going beyond just having 1 or 4 colors laid down on a press. This is something that is unique and that they can touch and feel, and you hand it to them in 5 minutes. Or a corporate customer comes in and says, I need 10 pieces, 10 shirts, front and back. You can hand that to them in an hour. Nobody else can do this. Nobody can do this except for direct-to-garment printing. So I encourage everybody to make a very informed decision, learn all that you can about this industry, and ask the tough questions. Ask about the top 10 factors. Talk to your regional manager, and don't be afraid to ask them what you may think is a silly question. That's what we're here for. We want you to be successful, and we can't be successful unless our customers are. We can't sell a drop of ink unless you have business too. So with that, I'm very grateful that you joined me on this call today, and I encourage you to please visit our website and reach out to your regional manager. If you don't have one, please go to our site and fill in the request info form. We'll be forwarding your information along to your regional manager. And so somebody, if we haven't already talked with you, somebody is going to be following up with you. If you have questions in the meantime, you can reach out to me. My name is Joe. My email is jl@anojet.com. And with that, I thank you very much and have a great day. Oh, last thing. If you go to the material, you can download the PDF of this presentation. So go visit the material site. It's 2.4 megabytes in the PDF. Thanks again, folks.